Good afternoon, Pioneer fans, and welcome to another edition of the SHU Sports Report. I'm Gino Ganello.
And I'm Alex Padalino. Gino, I hope you didn't fill up on too much Halloween candy this past weekend because Turkey Day is right around the corner.
Yeah, that it is, Alex. We're already in November, and some of our fall teams are even wrapping up their fall seasons already.
Absolutely, Gino. The men and women's Sacred Heart cross-country teams find themselves towards the end of their schedules, but had some impressive finishes this past weekend. The women's cross-country team looked to take back the title at the NEC Cross Country Championship this past Saturday at Stanley Quarter Park in New Britain, Connecticut, after clinching 3 consecutive #1 finishes from 2013 to 2015. The Pioneers turned up the heat and made their moves when it counted in the final mile of the race to bring the title back to Park Ave, becoming the 2017 Women's NEC cross-country champions. The team had 4 runners placing in the top 5 out of a total of 77. Seniors Kate Svensson and Tara Connolly continued to lead their team, placing first and second, respectively, in the race. Their 2017 victory marked the women's lowest score in program history, with an impressive 24 tally. The always dominant Svensson earned first with a time of 17:34, as she came into this race determined to make up for last year's unfavorable finish. This marks the first time a Pioneer has taken the individual title since 2009. Connolly ran behind her teammate with a time of 18:02 as she earned her 3rd set of all-conference honors with a stellar performance. Sophomore Jody DeChico and senior Lindsay Lucas rounded out the top 4 for SHU, posting times 1 second apart at 18:05 and 18:06. Along with Svensson, the 3 runners took home the hardware, each earning an all-NEC plaque. The Pioneers were 28 points ahead of Central Connecticut University, the runner-up in the race. The men, who also raced at the NEC Cross Country Championships, finished second overall with their best ever score in NEC Championship competition, racking up 53 points in their 3rd straight runner-up finish at the outing. Sophomore Gilmore Barrios placed 3rd with a time of 26:02, followed by teammate senior Trevor Guerrera just a few seconds behind, finishing at 26:09. With this top 5 finish, Guerrera became the first Sacred Heart men's cross-country runner to earn NEC all-conference accolades in each of his 4 seasons on the team. Senior Andrew Hanfield also received NEC honors with his 10th place finish in the race for the first time in his collegiate cross-country career with the team. Both the men and women are back in action Friday, November 10th at Audubon Golf Course, University of Buffalo, New York, for the NCAA Division I Northeast Regional Cross Country Championships at 12 p.m.
Alex, is always great when the Pioneers can bring back some hardware for that trophy case back up at the pit.
Absolutely, Gino, it is. And, if they keep winning, they're going to have to get another trophy case.
And that's not a bad thing. I'm sure they'll have to start looking soon. But now moving from the cross-country trails to the ice rink, men's ice hockey had a close bout in their first conference game of the season. On Friday, the men's ice hockey team took on Niagara University in their first Atlantic Hockey Conference matchup of the season. Things got off to a great start for the Pioneers as Mark Johnstone and Jason Cotton both put the puck in the back of the net within the first 3 minutes of the game to put the Pioneers up 2-0 early. Unfortunately, that would be where the fun would stop as Niagara would start their comeback about 9 minutes into the game when they cut the deficit in half. The Pioneers would steady the ship for the rest of the period, but the penalty kill would be the death of them as they gave up 2 power play goals, one in the second period and another in the third, that would lead to a 3-2 loss and an 0-1 start to conference play. Despite the loss, goalie Brett Magnus racked up 39 saves on 42 shots, while Mark Johnstone registered 2 points off his first period goal and an assist. The Pioneers will look to get things back on track this Saturday, November 4th, as they welcome another conference opponent in Canisius to Webster Bank Arena this weekend. Stick around because after the break, we will have our very own Adam Chambers sitting with a special guest on this week's Coach's Corner.
This week on the Coaches Corner, we have Sacred Heart Women's Bowling head coach Becky Craigling. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for asking.
Let's get started off with this last year's success translating into this year's performance. So the bowling team ended last year ranked 9th in the National Association's poll. What preparations has the team gone through to maintain that success and surpass that ranking?
We graduated 3 seniors, which were all starters, but we brought in 3 pretty good freshmen. And the returners knew they had to work hard over the summer, which they did. So we looked pretty good, and we did a lot of individual practices in September. And the Coaches Association ranked us 9th in the preseason poll, so we look good on paper. And this weekend we'll see how we compare to everybody else.
Nice. So last year, NEC Bowler of the Year, Amanda Nardiello returns the team as a senior. And how has her leadership, along with Sarah Morris, Courtney McGinn, Jess Torres, influenced the underclassmen for this year?
This year's seniors has kept the dynamics of the past team, which has always been very good. They get along really well. They work hard together. And they've added a little of their own. I've seen more support at practices than I've ever seen. Everybody's cheering for each other, even when they're playing against each other. So the team dynamics look pretty good so far.
Nice. Now for the NEC, the preseason poll has placed Sacred Heart in 2nd. What are your expectations for the 2017-2018 season?
Honestly, with a change in lineup, I didn't know what to expect, but so far we look pretty good. And this year is the first year for automatic qualifiers in bowling, so the NEC Championships is the goal in March, and we'll be working hard until we get there.
Oh, very nice. Well, I wish you the best of luck. That's all we have that's all the time we have for this year, for this edition of the Coaches Corner. I want to thank you for coming down and wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now, let's send it over to Chris Caiozzo, who is standing by with this week's Update Corner. Chris?
Thanks, Adam. To start off this week's Update Corner, we had a big weekend at Sacred Heart Women's Ice Hockey as they had a 2-game home series versus Johnson & Wales. On Friday, the Pioneers scored in all 3 periods to get a 6-3 win. Sophomore Jane Lewis got the scoring going by putting back her own rebound 2 minutes into the game. Lewis also scored another goal just before the second period ended. Lewis also added 2 assists. Senior co-captain Taylor Moreland added 2 goals at the end of the first and second period. Freshman Hannah Tracy scored her first goal in her college career early in the second period. Senior co-captain Devin Kane made 12 saves on goal. On Saturday, the Pioneers continued their winning ways, beating Johnson & Wales 8-2. Taylor Moreland and Jane Lewis scored early to put the Pioneers up after the first period. Junior Lily Cleary, senior Megan Kelblaka, and sophomore Victoria Grimmer also put points on the board for Sacred Heart. She returns home this Friday with a home-and-home versus Post University. The Sacred Heart Women's Equestrian Hunt Seat team hosted UConn on Saturday, placing as reserve high point team with 31 points behind UConn at 33 points. Senior Isabel Rodriguez placed as reserve high point rider. For Western, they traveled to UMass for a doubleheader, placing first and second respectively. Rodriguez and senior Cecilia Mathon qualified for regionals due to their stellar performances. Hunt Seat travels to Trinity College on Sunday, November 5th, starting at 9 a.m. The Sacred Heart women's rugby team beat Castleton Saturday by the score of 67-22 on the road. The Pioneers had 7 different people score. Freshman Cameron Chester and sophomore Kaylee Hale had 4 tries on the game. Freshman Isabel Cuddy had 3 tries, and the rest of the scoring came from freshmen Tiffany Bryceman, Leanne Bauer, and Caitlin Lagasse, while sophomore Allie Rinaldi had 2 scores each. Sacred Heart comes home this Saturday, November 4th at 11 for senior day and their final game of the season. The Sacred Heart women's swimming and diving team swept the weekend with wins over LIU Brooklyn 161-119 and Stony Brook 234-38. Freshman Margaret Flaherty and freshman Emily Peter both had great days as they set out 3 out of 5 the pool records on the day for SHU. Sophomore Lauren Summers won the 100 and 200 freestyles, and Flaherty won the 500 and the 1,000 freestyle. The Pioneers proved to 4-3 overall and 2-2 in the NEC. Their next meet is this Saturday at Holy Cross at 1 p.m. The Sacred Heart University field hockey team finished out MAC play with a 2-0 win over Fairfield University Sunday morning at Johnson Field. Senior Lauren Musselman stopped all 3 shots she faced. Senior Lauren Lawson, in her last game as a Pioneer, scored the game winner. Sophomore Kelsey Hopkins added a goal. She finished out the year at 7-11 on the year overall and 3-3 in MAC play. The Sacred Heart women's tennis team tallied 10 wins this past weekend at the NJIT Fall Invitational. On Saturday, the doubles team of Brianne Loria and Olivia Podropierski defeated Fairfield doubles 6-3 and also Adrian Alfonso and Lauren Santasiro beat Fairfield 7-5. Podropierski, along with teammates Claudia Ruiz, Kira Toby, and Alfonso, won their singles matches. On Sunday, the duo of Loria and Podropierski was at it again, beating NJIT 6-2, and the doubles team of Toby and Sabrina Navarro beat Fairfield 6-1. Podropierski took home her fourth and final match win in a singles match, winning 7-5 and 6-2. Sacred Heart has the winter off and returns to action at Army West Point versus Binghamton. That's all the time we have for this week's Update Corner. I'm Chris Cayozzo. Stay tuned for more Sacred Heart sports action.
Welcome back to the SHU Sports Report. We'll keep it rolling with some Sacred Heart football. This past Saturday, the Pioneers hosted first place Duquesne at Campus Field after snapping a 4-game losing streak last week with their win at Robert Morris. The team hoped to pick up their second straight victory over Halloween weekend against the 7-1 Dukes. The Dukes got off to a hot start in this one, knocking back-to-back field goals through the uprights to give themselves an edge over the Pioneers 6-0 early in the game. Senior quarterback Kevin Duke led the Pioneers down the field with a 73-yard drive, taking the ball into the end zone on his own, with a 1-yard run to cap the 8-play drive. Unfortunately, the point after to take the lead was no good. After that, it was all Duquesne and their fierce rushing attack. Duquesne would take a 34-6 lead, ending the third quarter. SHU would score 2 more times in the fourth off of a touchdown pass from freshman Ezekiel Ennis and fifth-year senior Nate Chavius. The Pioneers went on to complete a much-needed 2-point conversion as Duke found senior Andrew O'Neill as part of his season-high 100 receiving yards in the back of the end zone to bring the Pioneers within 16 with a little more than 5 minutes to go. Unfortunately, time was not on the Pioneers' side as they were unable to complete the comeback and fell to the Duquesne Dukes 37-21, as they now sit 3-5 overall and fall to 1-2 in the Northeast Conference. Next up, the Pioneers travel to Bryant on November 4th for an ESPN3 showdown, starting at noon, as they look to get to 2-2 in conference play.
Another Sacred Heart team that hosted conference games this past weekend was the women's volleyball team, as they welcomed 2 conference foes in Robert Morris and St. Francis, Pennsylvania, in an attempt to move up in the conference standings and find their way into the NEC playoffs. Things got off to a hot start on Friday as the Pioneers took on Robert Morris and jumped out to an early 2-0 lead while virtually leading the entirety of the 2 sets. Despite dominating, though, the game was far from over. SHU failed to close out the Colonials in sets 3 and 4, losing by scores of 25-22 and 25-20, which led to the decisive set 5. The Pioneers would fight hard through the 5th set, staving off match point on 3 separate occasions, but Robert Morris would still get the best of them as they took the final set 18-16 and the match 3-2. Although it was in a losing effort, redshirt sophomore Liesl Nellis still found herself atop the kills list with 22. The Pioneers then welcomed St. Francis, Pennsylvania to the Pitt Center on Saturday for Senior Day in an attempt to make up for the loss the night before. SHU honored 5th-year setter Kiki Robinson and senior outside hitter Lila Palmer in a pregame ceremony before hopping on the court and taking their anger out from the night before on the Red Flash. The Pioneers dominated St. Francis, never falling behind by even 1 point the entire match. They would take the match 3-0 by scores of 25-20, 25-19, and 25-14, while adding another NEC win to their resume as the season inches closer to an end. Robinson racked up 32 assists on her senior day, while Nellis and redshirt junior Michaela Dole led all hitters once again with 13 and 14 kills respectively. The Pioneers will now travel north to CCSU and Bryant this weekend, looking to keep their hopes of an NEC tourney berth alive, starting Friday at CCSU with a game start of 7 p.m.
Hopefully, SHU football and women's volleyball can get back on track this upcoming week.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be watching, and the fans at home can certainly watch them do it as well, as the football game will be on ESPN3, and the 2 women's volleyball games will be on NECFrontRow.com. For now, that's all the SHU sports action we have for you this week, Pio fans. From all of us here at the SHU Sports Report, I'm Gino Ganello.
And I'm Alex Padalino. Thanks for watching.